And we're at day 22, which means that we've already been working on this challenge 4 weeks. And it is actually 3 weeks from today is my nephew's wedding. And you're probably wondering, well, why is it day 22? And that is because I chose day one as his wedding day, not day zero as his wedding day. Um, and I recognize that there could be some debate about whether or not that was the right thing to do, but that's the way we did it. So 3 weeks from today, my nephew gets married in Porto, Portugal. And so this is the end of week 4. So I thought we'd kind of summarize what all happened this week. And actually, there was a lot we did this week. So I am continuing to work on Portuguese. I had a couple of lessons with Adriano, my tutor on italki, and it's so kind of where we are with Adriano. Um, it is obvious. I think that it helps me understand a little bit better where I am because it's obvious that I'm not fluent. I'm not going to be fluent, and but it's also obvious that I can have simple conversations, and actually I can do things beyond where I thought I might be able to do because one of the things Adriano does, like with me, lots of times we go over news stories. So he pulls up news stories on the internet and we talk about those. And normally he pulls them up from Brazil, so they are in Portuguese. So I'm not reading the English, so I have to read the Portuguese, and then we can kind of talk about it. And so even on just sort of topics like that, I've been able to have a conversation. And that's not to say that I know all the words. It's not to say that I get it all right, but it is one of those things where I can work around it. And kind of, so for example, the other day we were talking and I mentioned that it was Memorial Day weekend and I couldn't quite get the word right for holiday. The correct word is ferias, but I was saying festa, which means party, and which kind of, like festival, festa, and so I was able to communicate um, the concept, although not exactly right. And then we, after a little bit, he kind of corrected me. He's like, "Fair," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's the word." But the most important thing, and I think one of the biggest things, is just confidence. Just having had some practice so that if I'm walking up to somebody and I need directions, or I'm trying to order, or I'm trying to, get some help, or something along those lines, I can do this. And it won't be perfect, but you know what? Perfect is what the enemy of accomplishment, right? So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to get to where we feel comfortable. I can talk to Uber guys. I can talk to waiters. I can talk to whomever, and I can get help if I need it. So okay, so the Portuguese. It's one of those things. It's like, if I were to go and spend, say, a month in Brazil or Portugal, I feel very confident that I would do just fine, and that when I came back, I would feel maybe not completely fluent, but conversational. I almost feel conversational now. I can have a simple conversation. So, all right, moving on. We spent a little time again trying to figure out what formal festive is. I don't know if we really came to a final conclusion on that, and I'm looking for help for that. If you're watching this and you know what formal festive is, maybe you can let us know. I think that we're pulling together stuff that we're going to wear, and I don't know if it's going to fall into the right category or not, but. But we'll see. It's one of those things. It's like, hey, it's family. They're going to love you. They're going to forgive you. So, but you need to try to play along. You need to try. So, we obviously we want his wedding to be a special day that they always remember, and um, we so we want to have fun, but we definitely want to be respectful and not just like not even try. So we're we're gonna try. Uh, and we talked. I talked a little bit. One of the videos was on learning a new language because that's one thing. It seems like a lot of people who are watching these videos, they're particularly interested in the language part of that. And to be honest, I am too. I mean, maybe that's because that is my favorite part of all of this is kind of working on the language, and maybe that's being conveyed in the thing. So I have noticed that the videos about language learning and working with Italki and Adriano and some of that stuff have gotten more views than the others. So I did a video particularly on that. We talked about the tourist scams, and that actually kind of knowing that kind of stuff, it is, I think, helpful because it can ruin your vacation if you lose your passport, if you lose your money, if you lose your credit cards. It can ruin your vacation, and so we want to be aware, just kind of learn what things are. We talked about how eating and how to avoid getting sick, and luckily it doesn't sound like that's a big problem in Porto. It sounds like in Porto that it's reasonably safe for Americans to eat there. The water, one of the biggest things is always water. And because that's one of the things, if you grow up with that, you have natural immunities to it. And someone, it's not to um, say that that it's an unhealthy place, but if you haven't been exposed to those things in the water, you can get really sick. So water is really, really key. And it sounds like the water is not going to be a problem, and neither is ice or any of those things. So that's all great. And this is his wedding is going to be the same weekend as the Festival de Sao Joao, and St. John. And that festival, I believe the main day is on Monday. The wedding is on Saturday, and the festival is on Monday. So I imagine that we will be spending some time at the festival, kind of seeing things. So we wanted to look up some of that. And I had Copilot recommend some restaurants for us, and we talked about what those restaurants are. Still think we need a little research there. I'm not sure I can afford them, but, we're gonna check into it. We're gonna see what we can do. And we started going through words of the day. I think I was better about it this week than I have been. I've been sort of 50-50. And again, I encourage you to use these words. Just interject them into conversation, just randomly. Just throw them into conversation when you're talking, especially if you're meeting someone new. You totally want to do it. So some of the ones we talked about this week is falo serio, and that's kind of like be serious, man. Falo serio, and e mesmo, and that's like really e mesmo. Pra caramba, you just add that to kind of add a little spice. If something is great, if it's great pra caramba, that means it's like really, really great. So just kind of throw that in as well. Fique tranquilo, which means calm down. That is such a useful phrase in every language. I encourage all of you to say that to your spouses or significant others. It should be a staple in everybody's language. And imagina, or magina, which literally means imagine, but I am told that Brazilians, I'm not sure about in Portugal, but Brazilians will say that to say you are welcome. So if you say thank you, which is obrigado or obrigada, obrigado if you're a man, obrigada if you're a woman, they might say instead of de nada, they might say imagina, imagina. And then the last one is lindo maravilloso, lindo maravilloso, which is kind of an explanation about how wonderful everything is, or how it also can mean handsome or beautiful. So those are all things to say. And the last thing that we did this week is we started our group text to try to do a little bit of joint planning before we get to Portugal. So that wraps up week 4 on the countdown. 22 days, and my nephew is getting married. And so if you enjoyed this video and you're having fun, or you know someone who might have fun, or maybe you know someone going to Porto, Portugal, and think, oh man, maybe you might watch some of these things, you can please share it, maybe give me a like. You might even subscribe and kind of follow along. I have a playlist for 50 days to Porto. I have a couple of other playlists too. I have 50 days of fitness, which was a just starting over, getting back into shape set of videos, because I was starting from scratch. I have been very athletic in the past. I've done a lot of stuff, but I had a period of almost 5 years where I had to lay low on that. And so I'm starting from zero. And so I did that. And then there's 50 days of trash, which is a very popular one. I think everybody likes to get rid of stuff. So that's one to check out too. But 3 weeks from today, and my nephew's getting married, and it's going to be so crazy busy between now and then, because I got a couple of trips, and we get there early. So actually, for a few days, we'll be in Portugal before the wedding, and I kind of want to record these there in Portugal. I am a little bit unclear on what it's going to be like in terms of cell phones and access to internet and things like that. And it's very possible that I'll get there and find out that um, I can't get them up. I just don't know. And so I'm going to ask in advance for forgiveness if I can't do that. What I'll probably do in those instances is I'll go ahead and record there, but maybe won't upload the last several days until we get home from Portugal. But I'm going to try to do it on those days. But I'm going to ask for a little forgiveness up front, just in case. So that ends 22 days until Porto, and maybe you can be with me tomorrow as we get to day 21. And hope everyone has a great day. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.